Heidi ho, this is Caleb Jones, and this is Unchained CEO, where we talk about how to develop your own location-independent business that frees you from your 9-to-5 job and your collapsing Western country, and setting up an international backup plan, or actually moving to a less bad country and doing all these things for very little money. Today's topic is reasonably important. It is something that most people don't understand, including experienced business owners. And it's something that I screwed up for many years until I understood it. That is the 3 income pillars. I'm going to talk about that in detail. This is very important in terms of your income, your wealth, and your long-term happiness. Before I get to that, really quick, I'm going to do a little segment that I like to call Today in Western Civilizational Collapse. Now, this is not the topic today. I'm just going to do this for 3 minutes and then get to our topic. But every once in a while, I have to update you on what's going on in terms of why your countries are collapsing, which is largely your fault if you vote for Democrats or Republicans or the non-American equivalents. So there is a bill in Congress in the United States right now that will probably pass because the Republicans control Congress and the Senate and the presidency. And as I've talked about on my blogs, including recently, whenever you have one party controlling all 3 of those, the presidency, Congress, the Senate, including if it's Republicans, especially if it's Republicans, government growth and government authority over your life skyrockets in the United States. And that's what's happening right now. So there is some sort of bill, I think it's in the Senate, actually, I don't remember the name, and it allows the president to basically suspend or rescind or modify any law he wants that is, quote, against the public good, end quote, which could mean anything. Now, one of the many reasons why the United States has become a quasi-socialist, quasi-fascist, quasi-authoritarian nightmare is that every time Democrats or Republicans control the government, what they do is they take their president and they give that president unprecedented dictatorial, authoritarian king or queen-like powers that the presidency was never designed to have vis-a-vis the Constitution and the separation of powers. The United States was founded on the whole concept that you don't want a king running the country. You don't want a dictator. You want a president that has some power, but you have a lot of power in the legislative branch and the judicial branch. That's the whole point of freedom. But unfortunately, left-wingers and right-wingers and right-wingers and right-wingers don't care and don't understand that. Either don't understand or don't want to understand or don't care. So every time they have a president, they give them all kinds of authority and power. They say, yay. So let's say the Democrats are in charge. The Democrats take their president, Bill Clinton, Barack Obama, doesn't matter who it is, and they give this person all kinds of sweeping authority as president, and they say, yay, yay. And then a Republican becomes president, and the Republican uses those same powers, and they go, oh my God, no, and they all freak out. And then when the Republicans are in power, they give their president all kinds of sweeping authoritarian powers. And they say, yay, yay, George Bush is so awesome and Trump is so awesome. Then there's a Democrat president who uses those powers against you. And they go, oh my God, ah! Now, they did this. I could give you numerous examples. They did this when Bill Clinton. They gave Bill Clinton the authority to bomb the crap out of Soviet Union, Kosovo in the 1990s. And they said, yay. And then suddenly the Republican came in, George W. Bush, and he attacked Iraq and Afghanistan, and the Democrats just lost their fucking minds. Well, that's your fault, idiots. You set the precedent. And then the Republicans gave the president authority over things like the welfare state, and specifically with George W. Bush, Medicare Part D, and expanding, government-run healthcare. And then they said, yay. And then Obama came along and did Obamacare, and the Republicans said, oh my God. So this is happening again now. You're going to give possibly Trump sweeping authoritarian dictatorial powers, and all you Trump supporters are going to say, yay, until in a few years when a Democrat comes in, and now you have a Democrat dictator, and you're going to lose your goddamn minds. That's happening right now. In other words, this is a long-winded way of saying, get the fuck out of the collapsing USA if you still live there, or at a bare minimum, set up your international backup plan so you have somewhere to go quickly when, not if, when the United States collapses in your lifetime. And let me say something else about that really quick. When the United States collapses in your lifetime, if you live in Canada, you're fucked. You live in the UK, you're also fucked. So a lot of the Western world is going to feel this when America collapses, if you don't live in America. Assuming Canada collapses after America, it could collapse first because of all the shit they're doing there, and the UK as well. Cool? Cool. All right, segment over. 3 pillars, 3 income pillars. In your business, what most business owners do, new business owners and experienced business owners, and I've been a consultant in some form or fashion for over 30 years. So I worked with lots of business owners. What they do is they focus on the short term and the slightly less short term in terms of their financial planning, in terms of the kind of money they want, in terms of their income, in terms of their growth. And this is why most businesses don't grow very much and have lots of problems and cash flow problems and things like that. And for many years, I was in that same category. I was always thinking kind of short term. I want to make this. I want to make this next month. I want to make this next quarter. And yes, we all have, not we all, many people have annual income goals, and you should. We have goals for how much money you want to make 3 years out, 5 years out, maybe 10 years out. But you don't actually do much to hit those goals. And I've talked about this when you do goal setting, is that you don't have a drive on your daily behavior on longer term goals. So for example, if you set a 3-year goal, that 3-year goal, no matter how compelling or interesting it is to you, it's probably not going to get you out of bed in the morning and get you excited. Whereas if you set a 1-month goal, you're going to go, oh my God, I have a month. And you are more likely to take action on that goal because the goal is shorter in terms of the time frame. And business goals works the same way. So there are 3 ways in which you need to make money, not just one way to make money now to pay my bills. So although that's important too. So the first category is money now. Okay. Money now is money defined as income you're going to receive in well less than 60 days from now, 60. So 2 months, usually within the next 30 days. So when you have a business, you're sitting down, you're saying, all right, how much money am I going to make in the next 30 days? Maybe the next 60. And if you have the type of business that has what's called an accounts receivable, which means things you've already sold and your customers are making payments to you, you can look at that and look at how much money is coming in this month and next month. Okay. And you're going to also look at what your sales activity, your promotional activity is going to be over the next few weeks to generate income for the next 30 days and the next 60 days. You look at those 2 things. You can base that also based on the prior 3 months, the prior 6 months. You can also base on that. You can also base on anything new you're going to do in terms of like new advertising, new promotions, new things you're going to do. Okay. So that is, when I say money now, really what I'm talking about is cash flow. Cash flow is how much money do you have right now in the next 30 days? How much expenses do you have right now in the next 30 days? So cash flow is within 30 to 60 days. Is it important? Well, yeah, it's important. You need to pay your bills, right? Every business has bills. You probably have bills. So you need to know that, okay, for the next, in the next few weeks, I can pay my bills. Now, I'm talking about business owners. If you do not have a business, you have a job, none of this is relevant because you have no control over your income, which is why having a 9-to-5 job is horrible. So if you have a 9-to-5 job, you probably already know what you're going to make this month because you get a regular salary. Now, you don't know long-term if you'll have that job because you could get laid off, you could get fired, you could get downsized. Trump's tariffs could fuck up your company. They could lay you off. There's all kinds of scenarios. So you don't know. And I've talked about many times how in the modern era, in the era of the collapsing West, you have more long-term and short-term financial security if you own your own business than if you're an employee. It used to be historically when I was a little kid that if you were an employee, it was more stable to be an employee. And then if you started a business, that was more risky. Entrepreneurial stuff was a risky thing several decades ago as compared to being an employee. Today, being an employee is actually more risky than being an entrepreneur. Boy, do I know a lot of employees and have known them over the past 30, 40 years as an adult. And I've seen a lot of employees go through a lot of horrible financial problems because they get fired or they get laid off or they don't get the bonuses they were planning on or whatever. It's bad. Now, when you have, and I talked about this in my books, when you have a business and you have a sudden reduction in your income, maybe you lose a few clients or the industry changes or whatever, or there's a crisis or a recession or whatever, you can do something that employees can't do. You can pivot, very quickly pivot. You can also, instead of pivoting, you can also jack up your marketing and jack up your sales. You can't do that as an employee. You can't go to your boss. This is one of the main reasons I started my first business back when I was an employee back in the 90s. You can't go to your boss and say, hey, boss, if I work more, will you double my income right now, double my salary? They go, no, shut the fuck up. Go back to your cubicle, right? So you have no agency over your income as an employee. But if you have a business, you have all kinds of agency over your income, including in times of crisis. If you've read my books, I've been through three major, as an adult, major recessions. Major recessions. Many of you young people have never been through a recession in your entire life, minus COVID. And that's kind of an artificial recession. So minus COVID, you've never experienced a recession. You don't even know what that'd be like. I've been through 3. And I was able to survive all 3 because I was self-employed. If I hadn't been an employee, I would have been fucked in a lot of those recessions. So that's part of what we're talking about here. So money now, cash flow is money in your business, you know, reasonably with reasonably high probability you're going to make in the next 30 days based on three factors. What has been the prior 3 months, so regular sales, based on accounts receivable if you have it. And by the way, having accounts receivable sucks. You don't want a lot of accounts receivable. You want to have what they call a cash business, which means the vast majority of your transactions are paid in full when the customer or client buys the thing, right? So if you buy a video course from me, you pay it all and I get all the money. You don't make payments for 12 months, right? If you're 90 Day Business Builder, most people pay one payment. Some people make payments over a few months. So we have some AR, but not a lot. So some AR is okay, but you want to avoid AR as much as you can because it's more difficult on cash flow. You have more money sooner. By the way, one second. What a lot of people understand is that money is worth more now and less later. So let me give you a really basic hypothetical. I go to you and I'm going to say, I'm going to give you $1,000 today, or I'm going to give you $1,000 2 years from now. Which do you take? Well, duh. But why do you take it now? Well, because I need it now. Well, wait a second. You're not going to need it in 2 years? You're probably going to, if you live in the collapsing West, you're probably going to need it more in 2 years. So you're telling me you're not going to need it in 2 years? Oh, no. You'll say, oh, no, I'll need it 2 years too. So you need it now. You need it in 2 years. Why do you want it now? Why is that? Well, 2 reasons. Money is more valuable the sooner you get it, right? So $1,000 now is worth more to your life economically than $1,000 2 years from now. Number one. Number 2, inflation. Because you have been voting for the lesser of 2 evils for 40 years, you now have skyrocketing inflation, which is something people like me have been worrying about for about 30 years. And so now you have high inflation. So $1,000 today, $1,000 in 2 years, $1,000 in 2 years is not going to be worth $1,000 today, even if the economic value to you is identical because of inflation. So you have 2 reasons. So these 2 reasons, money now is worth more than money later. Now we could modify these hypotheticals and we could say, I'll give you $1,000 now, or I'll give you $10,000 in 2 years. Well, that might be worth doing. But that's where compound interest comes in. That's why people pay you interest, because money now is more valuable than money later. That's why if you give me $1,000, I have to pay you an extra amount if I pay you that back to entice you to give me the $1,000 now if it's an investment or a loan or something like that. Make sense? So money now is pretty important. But here's the problem. If all you do is focus on money now, money now, money now, which is how the vast majority of human beings in the world work. 99% are focused on, I need money right now. I need to pay my electric bill. I need to pay my child support. Or if you have a business, I need to pay my payroll. That's the big, scary expense of most companies is payroll. The biggest expense of most companies is payroll. I got to make payroll. Holy shit. I got to do this. If all you do is focus on that, you will probably never grow unless you get lucky. And as I've said many times, you can't emulate luck. Luck is not a system. That's why I don't advise you to go buy a bunch of lottery tickets, because that's luck. It's not going to work. That's why I advise you not try to be a famous rock star as an income source. A lot of that's luck. You can't emulate luck. Doesn't matter how good you are, right? I just had a thought. Let me think this through a sec. Do I want to talk about this or not? No. So, don't you love live streams? So, if all you do is focus on money now, current cash flow, you probably will never grow. And the objective of a business, in most cases, not all cases, is to grow. If you're a business owner, my guess is you want to make more money than you're making now. Now, there is a small percentage of business owners who make all the money they want. They don't care. Then do whatever you like. But if you want to grow your income, you have to expand your horizons, as my mom used to tell me when I was a kid. Expand your horizons, Caleb. Expand your horizons to the other two pillars. So pillar one is money now, cash flow within 60 days. The things you can do in your business to make money fast within 60 days. Should I talk about? Yeah, let me talk about that really quick. So several ways, easy ways of doing this is, and I'm going to do an entire live stream in a few weeks on exactly how to do this and why it's important. Building a brand, building an online personal brand. Some of you never want to do that. That is fine. If you want to be anonymous the rest of your life, I understand. But if you have the balls to do this, if you build an online brand, or if you build a mailing list, which allows you to be anonymous, either one of those, that becomes an asset you can now leverage for cash now. So several times, I've had an online business since 2009. So what's the math on that? It's 2025. That's 16 years? Right. So there have been several times in 16 years where I didn't plan the finances as well as I should have. And I looked at the next 30 days, 60 days. I said, oh, shit, I'm going to have a shortfall in my online company. So I need some money now. So I sat down and came up with an offer that would be very compelling, a lot of value for a small amount of money. And then I gave it to my mailing list. I said, hey, you want to buy this? It's X dollars. And boom, a bunch of people bought it, and it covered my expenses for 30 to 60 days plus. Now, so in other words, I've done this. I have made more than $100,000 several times, sometimes much more than that, by just coming up with an offer and sending out a few emails to my list. And that's it. Very little work for a lot of money. Couldn't do that if I hadn't spent the last 16 years building a personal online brand. I have a very distinct brand as Caleb Jones, Unchained CEO, Alpha Male 2.0, and in some old school people, Black Dragon. I've built up that brand. So now that brand has become an asset that will now help me today. Because I spent a long time back in 2009 posting lots of content. Back then it was blogging and not making any money and slowly building my list. And now I have a decent sized list, decent sized brand where I can utilize that as an asset where even if I'm in trouble, because I didn't plan well, and I don't have that problem anymore, but I did have that problem before sometimes. Oh shit, I got to make sure this comes in and this comes in the next month or two. I can go to my list and knowing what they want, give them an offer that makes sense to them and make money very quickly. Can't do that if you don't have an online brand. Can't do that if you have a mailing list. So if you don't have those things, then you'll be forced to do is cold outbound. You'll have to get on the phone and make cold calls or hire a marketing guy really quick. Or if you have money, jack up your ad spend and run a bunch of ads, all of which are fine. By the way, these are perfectly valid ways of making money. I do all these things. I don't do cold calls anymore, but I run ads, and I've done thousands of cold calls throughout my life in my various companies. So that's my point is when you build your business as an asset, what would be goodwill, a large client base so you get referrals from, an online brand, and a mailing list, those four things, cash now, money now becomes a lot easier. It's very easy for me to just whip up cash when I need it in my online companies because I spent the last 16 years building up a personal brand. Does it take 16 years to build a personal brand? Of course not. But it might take you 2 or 3. So you start now, and that's a perfect segue for the other two pillars. So the next pillar, which is money midterm, let's call it money later, is money you're going to make 6 months to 12 months from now. Or if you like, 60 days to 12 months from now. So this is midterm money. This is not money now. You're not going to make any money now. You're going to make money 3 months from now, 6 months from now, 8 months from now, 12 months from now, maybe at the outside 18 months. So let me give a more specific parameter set. 60 days to 18 months from now. That's money later. Okay? It's very important because do you want to make more money 12 months from now, 18 months from now? Yes. Okay. Then some of your time needs to be spent on money now. Some of your time needs to be spent on money later. And some of your time needs to be spent on the third pillar I'll get to in a second. So in my world, a good example for me in my online business, I have several companies, but my example would be if I write a new book. So if I start writing a new book, which I'm going to, you're about to get a survey. I'll cover that in a second. I might cover that in a second. If I start writing a new book this week, do I make money from that book in 30 days? Nope. How about 60 days? Do I make money from that book? Nope. No. It's going to take me several months to write that book, and I'm an experienced author. I've written 9 books, so I kind of know what I'm doing in terms of writing. If it's your first book, it's going to take you a year or 2 or 3. But I can write a good book within a few months because I know I've been doing this a long time. And I'm also naturally gifted as a writer. When I was a little kid in 7th grade, and they go around the class and say, what do you want to be when you grow up? And all the kids said attorneys or rock stars or whatever. I said, I want to be a writer. And so I am very happy and very fortunate to be the thing as an adult that I fantasized about being when I was a little kid. The vast majority of human beings are never grow up to be the thing they want to be when they're a little kid. So I'm very blessed in that respect. But I can make money and frankly make a lot of money writing. So anyway, if I write a book now, when is that money from that book going to come into my life? Later. It's going to come in, 6 months from now, maybe 7, 8 months from now, depending on the length of the book, depending on what I want to do it, when I want to promote it and what it's about. And right. So if I start writing a book now, I'm not going to get any money from that book in, maybe 8 months. So then why bother to write the book? Because I want to make more money in 8 months. And there are other benefits to writing a book, brand awareness and things like that. That's just one example. I have just spent, if you were on the SMIC Vault call we did yesterday, I talked about this. I have just spent 3-4 months of my life working 3 hours a day, 6 days a week on a gigantic project where I'm going to make an 8-figure amount, guaranteed. I gave you more specifics in the SMIC Vault thing. But anyway, I'm not going to make that money now. I'm not going to make it in April. Probably not going to. What's that from April, March, January, February, March, April, May? Probably not going to make it in May. But after May, boof. So why did I spend all that time making that project? Because I'm strategic. I'm focused on money now, but I'm also focused on money later. Even if it takes me many, 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 many hours a day for many, many weeks or months, because I want to make money later. Now, I just happen to have a very long-term goal, many, many years, that is coming up in April of 2026, which is in about 1 year from now. So I'm kind of motivated to get that done. So money later for me is really important right now. I've cut out a lot of shit out of my life, including a lot of important shit. Some of it I cut out, some of it I put on hold for a few years to make sure I hit that goal. That's a quintessential example in my scenario of money later. Money I want to make in about a year or around a year, 12 months-ish, or, give or take. So I'm really focused. I'm focused on money now. I'm also focused on money later. The reason my income has grown so much over the past 15 years is I always take time strategically in terms of my planning, in terms of my time management, to focus not just on money now, but money later. Yes, let's make sure that the next 30 to 60 days are covered. Yes, that's important. Yes. But let's make goddamn sure that the amount of money that we make 4 months from now, 6 months from now, 8 months from now, 13, 14 months from now is significantly more than what we're currently making, which means I have to do work now that won't pay me now. It'll pay me later. And that's frustrating, but it's called deferred gratification. It's how it works. So, I mean, that's it. That's the number one reason, and there are many reasons, why my income has gone up so much since my conversion to Alpha Male 2.0 back about 18 years ago. Because I constantly focused on money later. For many years, I've talked about this. When I hit my big goal in my 20s of making a 6-figure income, this is back in the 90s when 6 figures was a lot more today than it was today. For many years, I kind of languished at about $110,000 a year income, personal income, because I was always focused on money now. For many years, I didn't grow my income. I grew it a lot from age 18 to age 27. And then I kind of floated around for years at around 110, 115,000 a year. Why? Because all my time was spent on money now. I didn't spend any time on money later. So unsurprisingly, my income didn't grow. Finally, one day I woke up and slapped myself in the face and said, Caleb, what the fuck are you doing? And now I spend a lot of time on money later. Matter of fact, in many respects to me, and I've gotten in trouble for this a few times, I consider money later even more important than money now. Now, that's not good either. Money now is also important. You want both. I'm not saying you focus on one or the other. You need to do both. So then you have, money now is pillar 1, money later, pillar 2. So let's cover this. Money now, under 60 days. Money later, 60 days to 18 months in the future. Okay. Third pillar is long-term money. Money well past 18 months from now. It could be 2 years from now, could be 5 years from now, could be 10 years from now. Now, a lot of money, long-term money, is investing, which I'm not going to discuss. It's a very big topic in itself. But when you put money away for money you're going to need in 40 years, that's money long-term. You're being very smart, especially if you're investing it wisely. So investments you could categorize as long-term money. Unless you're going to retire in the next year, long-term, you're dealing, when you put money away long-term for your investments, not your emergency savings. Savings and investments are two different things. Your investments is long-term money. But in terms of business, how does this work? Well, I'll give you the perfect example. What I mentioned earlier, building an online brand, building a personal brand online. If you start from zero right now, no one knows who you are, and you set up an Instagram account, you set up a Twitter account, you start doing YouTube videos, you start doing some blogging, you start writing articles on LinkedIn or whatever you're doing, okay, to build a brand, and you start putting a lot of work to do videos and write articles and blah, are you going to make money now? No. Are you going to make a lot of money on this later in the next 18 months? Maybe, probably not. And if you make money, it's going to be a little bit. It's going to be a trickle. So then why do it? Because you have the money later. I am today still making a decent amount of money, a big amount of money from work I did back in 2009, 2010, 2011, when I was writing 3 blog articles per week and no one was paying any attention, especially in 2009. I'm still receiving the benefits of that work, even though I wasn't paid shit for that work back then. So one example of long-term money in your business are things like building an online brand. That is an asset you're creating now to cash in long-term. Not now, but long-term. And maybe midterm if you're lucky. Could you make money from building an online brand within 12 months? You could. It can happen. I've seen it happen. Sometimes it's luck. Sometimes other things. Sure, you probably won't make a lot, but you will be absolutely stunned at the amount of money you will make from your online brand 5 years from now that you're not making now. You will be shocked because I've been shocked. I mean, I've talked about this. The first time I ever made $250,000 net, $242,000 net profit in my pocket in 1 week because I had spent years building a list. This is a long time ago. Because I had spent years building up a list. I was floored. So you will be shocked at how much money you make from long-term endeavors in your business. Setting up new marketing systems, setting up new funnels, setting up new systems you've never done before. So, for example, try a system like cold email. So I set up a funnel doing cold email and see if that works. I set up a system using LinkedIn DMs. A system is a brand new system. Okay, setting these systems up, these brand new marketing systems, you'll make money either later or long term. You'll have to tweak them and adjust as they go along. What's some other examples of long-term business money? Money you'll make more than a year and a half from now. Sometimes, projects, offerings, programs, services, consulting services, coaching services, and things like that. Sometimes you'll set up a product and you'll make some money in the medium term, but you won't make the big money for a few more years once you've iterated it a few times. Because we tell this in Business Builder with 9-Day Business Builder people all the time. The first client you get, first 2-3 clients you get might be a little messy because you don't exactly know exactly how well your service will function with your actual clients. They'll get benefits, but with every client, you're going to learn new things and tweak the thing that you're selling to make it better and better and better and better and better. And in 2 or 3 or 4 years, suddenly you're making a 6-figure or maybe even a 7-figure income. Not now, not in 60 days, but long term, 18 months plus. That's another example. So when you are operating strategically as a strategic business owner, you're spending some time on figuring out money now. You're spending some time figuring out money later. And you're also spending some time figuring out money long term. I've used this example many times. And then Matthew McConaughey did this viral video where he ripped off my idea. But I've been talking about this way before the Matthew McConaughey video. And he uses a different number of years. But my entire focus of my life, and I've been saying this for 15 years in both my brands, Alpha 2.0 and Unchained CEO. My focus of my life is me 5 years from now. The most important person in my life is not me. It's not my wife. It's not my children. It's not Donald Trump. It's not Jesus Christ. The most important person in my life, and this has been true for a long time, is Caleb 5 years from now. So this is 2025. I am giving a lot of thought to Caleb in 2030. 2030 Caleb is very important to me. Number 2 is 2025 Caleb, current Caleb. But number 1 is Caleb 5 years from now. I go out of my way to make sure that Caleb 5 years from now is going to be very, very, very happy. The reason I live such a good life, especially in the past 10 years or so, is because the reason I'm living the good life now in 2025 is back in 2020, I was thinking about me, 2025 Caleb, a lot in 2020. I left the collapsing USA in 2021 because I wanted 2025 Caleb to be very happy. Many of you know this. My original plan for many years was to leave the collapsing USA in 2025, starting in 2012. And then I realized in 2021 and a little before that, I'm not waiting to 2025. Fuck this. Caleb in 2025 will be fucking miserable if he's still in the United States. And I was right. So in 2021, 2020, to make sure 2025 Caleb was happy, I left the United States and I went to Dubai/Park. And now today, and I just have a lot of thankfulness and gratitude in my heart for myself 5 years ago. And I keep repeating that pattern. So right now I'm really focused on Caleb in 2030. Now I'm also focused on April 2026 Caleb because of some big goals I have to do that. So to be fair, I'm focused on him too. But that's why I focus on long-term money. You can also roughly apply to this other parts of your life, like your health. I talk about my other channel. I do a stretching routine that's 30. I've been doing this for consistently like 6 months now. I do this 30-minute stretch routine on the floor right over there. It's a pain in the ass. It hurts. I don't like it. But I have to do that because I'm a man in my 50s. I'm about to turn 53. So 5-year future Caleb is going to be 58. I want 58-year-old Caleb to be very limber and be able to move around and not go, ugh, like most guys, their 50s. Most guys might. Shit, most guys younger than me. I want 58-year-old Caleb to look pretty decent. Okay? I want 58-year-old Caleb to have massive amounts of money, way more than I have now. Various other things. So I focus on money long term, not just money now and not just money later. Does that make sense? All three. Well, I don't have time to do all three. Yes, you do. Time management. Plan your week, plan your month, plan your quarter. This is a new quarter. I spent the entire weekend planning my next quarter, and I do the 12-week year. So I don't work on quarters. I work on 12-week years. So to me, this is the last day of the year 20251. And tomorrow, right? Tomorrow? Yeah, April 1st, April Fools. Tomorrow is, for me, a new year, the year 20252. April, May, June. I've been spending the entire, hours on Saturday, 4 or 5 hours planning out the next year. For me is 12 weeks, next 90 days, planning out where I'm going to focus. And I promise you, I have money now, money later, and long-term money in that plan in detail. Now, it's not going to take you 5 hours to plan your next 90 days. I have a much more complicated life than most of you, but that's why I do this. So if you say, I don't have time to plan all this shit. Yes, you do. You have to make the time. Otherwise, at best, you'll be a business owner with a stagnant business that makes around the same amount of money every year. That's most business owners who don't go out of business. So the vast majority of business owners go out of business. The ones who stay in business, the vast majority of them just kind of float along. You check with them 15 years later, they're making about the same amount of money. Why? Because they're focused on money now, not money later and money long term. The business owners who make the big cash, the good money, the good life, are focused on money now and money later and long-term money. All three. So that's what I've done. Am I perfect at all three of these things? No. As I've said 10,000 times, I make mistakes all the goddamn time. Part of success is making lots of mistakes. That's why so many of you lissigs never make any money, because you're terrified about making a mistake, because you were trained in the collapsing Western, and it's not Western, it's a lot of Eastern educational system where if you do bad on your report card, everybody hates you. Stupid. I make tons of mistakes all the time. So I'm not saying I do all these three things perfectly all the time. I don't. Trust me, I don't. But I do them, and they get done. And my life is really good because of it. And if you alpha male 2.0 guys, you can apply this to your woman life, your relationship life, your health life, your 5 flags life. You can apply this to all kinds of other areas. I'm giving you the business examples here. And that's really where you focus on. Cool? Okay. I'm not going to pull up the slide, but this is the last day you can sign up for the 90-day business builder. This is the last day. Your deadline is literally tonight at midnight EST. So if you go to 90daybizbuilder.com, we have several bonuses, including one-on-one coaching from me and Billy that you don't normally get, plus some 5 flags and travel ace extra videos and things like that you will not get if you don't sign up today. This is your last chance. 90daybizbuilder.com. You have to schedule your call. We're doing our best. A lot of people like to wait till the last minute. So we're doing our best to keep the schedule open for extra slots of calls. We'll do overflow if we need to. So sometimes happens, but you got to schedule your call so you have the call today before tonight, because you have to sign up today. You can't sign up tomorrow because we start on Saturday, April 5th. I'll be doing the first session. I always personally do the first session for new people signing up, starting business builder. And it's a long session. It's like 3 or 4 hours. It's our orientation session plus our niche session. So if you want to work with me and Billy and about 9, 10, I think we're up to 10 coaches now, and Jeff, a bunch of other people, and get your business started and be profitable in 90 days, guaranteed, or we work with you forever for free until you do, 90daybizbuilder.com. This is the time. This is your last chance. After this, you can't sign up because we start on, you have to sign up 5 days before the deadline of the first session, I should say, and the bonuses we're offering go away forever. 90daybizbuilder.com. Even if you don't sign up for this, please start your fucking business if you haven't done this yet. It's saddening to me the number of people in my audience who are well aware of my content haven't even started a fucking business yet. And as I told the SMIC Vault guys yesterday, if you have not yet started your location-dependent business and or you haven't left the collapsing West, you're already behind, left the collapsing West, or you set up your fully functional international backup plan. That's okay. You haven't done any of these things, you're way behind schedule now. And I've said this before, and I'll say this again, and I'll get to your questions. I've said this before, and this is not an exaggeration, and this is not a joke. If I still live in the United States right now, or Canada, or UK, or Australia, or Germany, any of the collapsing Western countries, if I still lived in any of these collapsing Western countries, still there, and I had no location-independent income, I had neither, I would be waking up screaming in terror every day. I'd be running around like my hair was on fire. Oh my God. I would put everything on my life on hold and get that shit done. I would leave the country or set up a backup plan, and I'd get my location-independent business started right now. I wouldn't say, well, there's so many options. What if I do drop shipping? I wouldn't do that. I would take action right. I would be so terrified with the things I know. If you read Freedom Fortress, you know what I know. I know even more than that, but you know, if you've been watching my content, you know how bad it's getting and how bad it's going to get. Even if Trump was president for the rest of your life, America's going to get worse and worse every year. You Americans are in for deep shit this year with Trump's tariffs. It's already starting to affect a lot of you. It's affecting people I know, affecting people in my family. So get ready for a horrible year, you Americans. Good job. I mean that seriously. So get this shit done. Join Business Builder if you have a few $1,000. If you don't have that, you can do payments. Okay. If you don't have that, get your business started with the resources you do have, including my content. You got a lot of free content on the internet. Some of you have the SMIC Vault. Some of you have some of my courses. Whatever you have, this is Teddy Roosevelt. Teddy Roosevelt's big statement, big quote. Start with what you have right now. Start with whatever you have right now. Join Business Builder if you can. If you can't, I understand. All right. Let's answer your questions. How are we doing on time? All right, folks. Answers for a few minutes. What is the best way to know the problems of a niche? Is there a better way to directly call them or email them? How else would you do it? No. You can't ask AI because AI is going to be wrong. You're going to have to call them. You sound like a raging introvert, and I am too. Sorry, introverts. You're going to have to get on the phone and ask people, talk to humans. Sorry about that. How do you identify a niche? It's a very broad question. You brainstorm niches that you've seen in your life. Okay. So when you take a piss and you look at the name, you go to a hotel or a restaurant and you take a piss in the urinal. This is an example. Okay. And you look at the name of the brand of the urinal. That's a niche. Companies that make urinals for hotels. That's a niche. You just look around. You see them. They're all over the internet. They're all over your life. There's millions, literally millions of niches everywhere you see. Start with that and brainstorm a list. You start there. That's where you start. When calling a company to know its problems, is it better to call the general number of the company and try to find a direct number of a manager? Depends on the size of the company. If it's a small company, yeah, you want to talk to the owner. If you're calling General Motors or Amazon, you probably can't talk to, Mr. Bezos, right? So you have to talk to someone lower. Depends on the size of the company. Good question. 1 month goal, find a niche by having 30 to 100 conversations with 3 to 5 potential niches. No, redo that. You want to narrow down 2 niches and have those conversations with those 2 niches. You don't call a bunch of people looking for a niche. You find the niche yourself through your own research, and then you narrow down your favorite 2, and then you make outreach and do niche research on those 2. But close enough. Any cool B2B niches that spring to mind? Way too general of a question. There's millions of them. Do you think that the following niches are good? Small logistics companies with maximum 10 trucks. How would you locate that? So one of the questions you have to ask your niche is, how would you locate the niche? How would you go on Google and Google small logistics companies that have a maximum of 10 trucks? Well, I can't. Then it's not a good niche. But you're close. You're onto something. SME that produce wine in Italy. What's SME? I don't know what that means. SME then produce artisanal pizza ovens. I don't know what SME means. What do you think of these niche ideas? Farm to table meal delivery companies. Too broad. There's a million of those. Virtual reality fun centers. That's what we call 90-day business builder a sexy niche. That's a very difficult niche. These sexy niches are generally harder to work with. You could do that, but I would narrow it down by region. Window tinters, too broad. How happy are you with your gold holdings? I'm very happy. I agree with you that you can't emulate luck, but I actually agree more with Ray Liotta's school of thought on the subject. Luck is when preparedness meets opportunity. That's not luck. That's probability. That's not luck. You're raising the probability because you are prepared. That's not luck. I've heard that quote too. There was in the 90s, my mentor is a man named Brian Tracy, or he was my mentor for a long time. He had a series of cassette tapes, 6 cassette tapes that cost like $100. It was called The Luck Factor. And he went into detail on this. It's not about luck, it's probability. So you can raise the probability of certain things happening to you based on actions you take. Right? So if you spend $10,000 a month on ads, running ads to a very solid funnel of selling products, the odds are you're going to sell more products than if you don't do that. Right? Right. So it's not luck, it's probability. I teach this over in my Alpha 2.0 dating stuff. Everything you do in your dating life raises the probability of you being successful instead of just winging it. So when thought about that way, luck can actually be emulated. No, it's not luck, it's probability. Jiu-jitsu studios on the West Coast. Not a great niche. And it's also not a niche. Too broad. You're trying to think of cool niches. Find boring niches like roofers. Niche and fulfillment sounds like the hardest part. Fulfillment's not the hardest part. Niche is the hardest part. Everything else sounds easy. Everything is easy except niche. Niche is the hardest part. Everything else, fulfillment's easy. What book or the resources do you recommend to help build an abundance mindset when it comes to income and wealth? I have it right over here. Let's see if I can. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? The dynamic. The Dynamic Laws of Prosperity by Catherine Ponder. Read this. There's some religious bullshit in here. Be aware of that. But other than that, it's good. I've questioned and written things about Zionists, Adolf Hitler, World War II. I pointed out evidence contradicting what the victors write. I even defended Hitler. How could I ever build a successful brand? I did this on Facebook and random websites like 9gag. It's a mean posting website. Stop talking about crazy shit and then start a new account. It's fine. Hello, Caleb. We have a saying here in Mexico that goes, when the U.S. sneezes, Mexico gets the flu. Yeah. That's true. It's accurate. But I'd rather live in Mexico than the United States. Out of curiosity, do you miss the 90s? I do not miss the 90s. I miss the 80s a lot. I don't miss the 90s. No, 90s was fine. It wasn't great. 90s was when everything started going wrong. And I don't miss this, to be honest, to be fair, I should say, I don't miss the 70s either. 70s was kind of fucked up. There are some good things about the 70s, but the 70s is kind of a fucked up, depressing decade. I miss the 80s. What's your take on the OnlyFans model found beaten to death on the street near Dubai? Travis Miller, you need to stop watching the news for 30 days. I've never heard of this. So you need to stop watching news for 30 days. You're going insane. It's rotting your brain. When you watch the news, it ruins the 2% rule in your head. You got to follow the 2% rule. So stop watching the news. Hello, Caleb. We have a saying here in Mexico. Okay. When the U.S. collapses, isn't Mexico collapsing too? Yes, I've talked about that in great detail. Yes, Mexico's going to have very serious problems when the U.S. collapses. Will it collapse? No. Mexico is doing a lot of intelligent things right now with their economy. Hang on. So when the United States collapses, Canada will collapse in about 10 seconds, and Mexico will have major problems, but it won't collapse. It won't. You're doing a lot of stuff with South America. You're doing a lot of stuff with the Middle East. You're doing a lot of stuff with China. That's going to keep going. You got a lot of oil, got a lot of natural resources. It will survive. Will it have major problems? Yes, it will. Yes, it will. Yeah. Can I ask what video equipment you used back when you were focused on YouTube? It was a Panasonic camera. I don't remember. I noticed you said you know of Jeff Berwick. Yep. What are your thoughts on him? Is he a scammer or legit? I've been recently following his content. Seems like a doom and gloomer. He is a doom and gloomer the same way that Doug Casey is. He's kind of that same zone as Doug Casey and Peter Schiff. Do I like him? Yeah, I like him. Is he a scammer? He's not a scammer. No, he's made some mistakes. He fucked up on that Argentinian thing a few years ago, and he got some bad press about that. That's not a scam. That's an error. And he works with some shitty people. Is he a doom and gloomer? Yes, he is. Yes. So you got to just take those doom and gloomers in context. This is why I don't give you the date of when America's collapsing, because I don't know and no one knows. These guys will say, oh, it's collapsing next October, and then it doesn't. Peter Schiff has been saying, oh, it's going to be collapsed in 2 months. He's been saying that for like 15 years, and it hasn't. So you got to, and that's a problem with those guys. They're too negative. They go into irrationality on the other spectrum. So you have a spectrum of irrationality. So if you have rationality like me, objective rationale shit in the middle, and on one side you have too positive, Trump's going to make America great again. So those are the irrational psychos on the positive side. Okay. Bernie Sanders is going to make all socialists and give us free healthcare and free college. So that's that. But on the other irrational side, you have the doom and gloomers. Oh, America is going to die. The dollar is going to collapse in 2026. I get these guys in my blogs too. Oh, America is going to collapse in October. No, it's not. You got to stay rational. Correct me if I'm wrong. You're wrong. Just kidding. But from what I remember, you are not really into real estate investing. Mind explaining why? Isn't capital gain from real estate investing a good form of long-term money? because I'm focused on companies and business and income, building my companies. I'm focused on that. I could not give my companies the focus they require. Hang on. I could not give my companies the focus they require if I was really focused on real estate investing. Number one. Not number one. Number two, this is all part of number one still. I've talked about real estate investing is not investing. Real estate is a hybrid between investing and a business. Real estate investing, as I've said many times, is not passive. It takes a lot of time per week to manage real estate investing. Bitcoin, you buy Bitcoin and that's it. Stocks, you buy stocks and that's it. You invest in real estate, that's going to take several hours a week minimum to manage all that shit, even if you have property managers and everything else. So real estate is time consuming. That's why I haven't done it. I can't take any time out of my businesses. I'm building those. Then later, when I don't need to work as hard and my businesses are exactly where I want, I'm going to blow the shit out of real estate. Trust me. I know exactly where I'm going to buy and everything. So I like real estate, but for me in my life right now, it doesn't make sense. I'm not saying you shouldn't do real estate. Go ahead. If that's what you want to do, it's awesome. And I made a lot of money from real estate back in the 90s and 2000s, a lot. But that was my focus back then. Today, it's not my focus. Say you go hard in your business for 5 years and want to chill. How much annual income could you get up and maintain work? And try this again. Say you go hard in your business for 5 years and just want to chill. How much annual income could you get up to and maintain without much work, like $1 million a year or more? I don't understand your question. You're talking about making a business where you make $1 million a year or more and don't work? Never going to happen. That's a fantasy. That's an internet bullshit fantasy, if that's what you're asking. If that's not what you're asking, redo your question. Currently living in Asuncion. Awesome. Just found your content, man. Cool. Was listening to your book on Audible. Thanks again for the knowledge. Awesome. That's great. By the way, Freedom Fortress is now on Audible. If you're talking about Freedom Fortress. So if you go to Audible, search on Freedom Fortress or Caleb Jones, it'll come up now. Finally. And we have a link now for it on the Freedom Fortress website. So you can buy it on Amazon. You can buy it on Amazon. It took them forever because they fucked something up. My business website is set up. My cold email outreach software is set up. My cold email outreach sequence is written. I make at least $10,000 a month net. Awesome. That's great. I hope your cold email, I hope you're selling to B2B, because what I've discovered is cold email to B2C is almost impossible. That's one of the funnels I've been working on the last few months. And we've realized that with my marketing team, cold email to B2C, not a good idea. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start a Twitter funnel. I'm going back to Twitter in a big way. Not yet. That's going to be in April or May. That's my midterm project. I'm going to redo my how I do all my social media, including here on YouTube, in about a month. You're going to see some big changes, most of which I think you'll like, some of it you won't, but it has to be done. How would you make 6 figures as a fiction writer? You can't. Anything artistic, you're not going to make 6 figures because that's luck. So I'm sorry, you can't. Can you make a living as a fiction writer? Yes. I used to say you can't make a living as a fiction writer. That's not true. I have found several guys on YouTube. You should Google around for them. Several guys on YouTube that write fiction as an income, and they live off that income. But you have to crank out short books, like series, like a short book that's like 150 pages, and you're gonna write like 6 of them as a series, and you release them on Amazon, and you got to hack the Amazon SEO, and these guys do all this stuff, and they make money. They don't make 6 figures, but they make, $35,000 a year, $45,000 a year, $6,000 a year, location dependent. So yeah, and they write all day and all night. So the answer is same thing as I want to be a musician. How do I make 6 figures? I want to be a comic book artist. How do I make 6 figures? Anything artistic, you're probably not going to make 6 figures. Continuing on with your question, I want to be a location-dependent author with my sexy Colombian wife already acquired. Play out this scenario for me, por favor, no alternatives. No alternatives is false. You have thousands of alternatives. Wrong. I write fiction. I do it for fun. So you can write fiction for fun or as your side business, as your second business. Start a business that makes money now, set yourself free, and then as your side business or your second business, you don't care how much money you make, write fiction. That's what I'm going to do. I'll be writing a lot of fiction in a few years, but not now because I'm not going to make 6 figures that, or even, I need to make 7 or 8, not 8. I live in Australia and I want to save up and buy the 9-day business builder ASAP. The only thing keeping me sane is crypto right now. Cool. I hope I amass enough to pay for the course. Thank you, Caleb. You're very welcome. What's your thoughts on Ray Dalio's investing principle? It's awesome. Do you think his advice still relevant for today's economy? More or less, yes. Ray Dalio is a fucking genius. So more or less, yes. You just got to be careful about owning American bonds. Short term, medium term, you could. Long term, I wouldn't own American bonds. Short term, be okay. Because America will just keep printing more money and raising taxes and fucking Americans to pay your bonds. Sorry for my career question. SME are small, medium-sized enterprises. Then the niche sounds too broad to me. What about being a dating coach? Not niched. I've slept with over 100 women, and I'm currently living the passport bro lifestyle. Not niched, very oversaturated. No. Would you compare Donald Trump to Ronald Reagan? No, I would not. Same guy, different model. No, I would not. I would compare Donald Trump to George W. Bush. They're almost identical. Other than the trade war stuff, the first term of Donald Trump was almost identical to George W. Bush. 70s had some good music. Some good music, yes. Aerosmith, Springsteen, AC/DC. Yes, that's true. Kiss, yes. Here's the thing about Kiss. Kiss's music is not that great. They're a live band. So you go see Kiss live, and they're the most amazing thing you ever seen in your life. I saw them a few years ago. Posted on my blog. Amazing to go see Kiss live. But their music is it's not bad. It's not good. And I, big fan of Gene Simmons. 70s music was trash. Zeppelin, Floyd, and Steve Miller were the only good things to come out of the 70s. AC/DC sucked. I prefer AC/DC to 80s AC/DC. Heat seeker burning up the town. Have you and Aaron Clary ever done work together? No, I have not. I like him. Thoughts on him? Collab in the future? Sure, I would be open to collabing with him. Yeah. Thoughts on him? I like him a lot. Don't agree with everything he says, but most of what he says. I like Aaron a lot. He's a brother from another mother. He's a kindred spirit, definitely. Is there anyone you previously promoted you no longer would vouch for? No. I'm a pretty good judge of character. Is there? Let me think that through a minute. No. Everyone I've ever worked with, I would still work with today. Yeah, no. Some of those people don't like each other. That's happened because people like drama. I mean, I'm not going to pen. I don't do drama. Nope. When calling a medium-sized company to know its problems, how can I get to someone who can answer my questions from the person that can answer the call? You have to get through the gatekeeper and you have to ask certain questions. You say, I'm not selling anything. Also, you have to kind of have an idea of what job title you're asking for, you're looking for based on the problem. What is the biggest problem? So you have to have an idea for, are you going to talk to the CFO, the sales manager, the ops manager, a senior vice president? You got to figure that out first, sort of. And then you say to the gatekeeper, hey, I'm not selling anything. I'm just doing market research. I'm asking some questions on what your biggest problem is. And you just work with that as best you can. This is why we recommend not going after medium-sized companies, going after smaller companies because it's easier. But you can. I'm considering taking over a business. Would you recommend any books for basic business to check to see if it makes sense to do so? There's no book on literally to check to see if you should take over a business. There's no book like that. There is a book on how to do turnarounds, one of my favorite books of all time. It's called The 6-Month Fix. I forget the name of the author. Fantastic. It's over there somewhere. 6-Month Fix. But that's once you're turning around a company. I've said many times, if I had more time, which I don't, what I would do as another business, if I could start a fourth business, but I don't have time, I would be a turnaround artist. Where they bring you in for 6 months. You're an interim CEO for just 6 months. They pay you a fee plus a percentage of improvement, and you're the CEO for 6 months, and you turn the company around. That would be so awesome. Oh, that's so exciting. Just me talking about it. It'd be so fun for me, but I'm too busy. Got other fish to fry. What about DJ hardware and software companies as a business niche? Sure, you might need to narrow that a little bit. One or the other wouldn't be enough companies in the world, I don't think. Wrong. It'd probably be plenty. I've never seen a niche that was too small. Or otherwise, any business 101 books. Yeah, the E-Myth Revisited. Read that. If you haven't read that. I've done contract work before, so no issues with confidence on the clients. The E-Myth Revisited. Read that book. Any opinions on Anthony Bourdain? Never seen any of his shows. Don't really care. I don't watch food content. I'm trying to lose weight, not gain weight. Is there any good way to take Are there any good takeaways from selling from the movie Glengarry Glen Ross? Several, yes. They overdid. Glengarry portrays the old school 1950s, 60s version of selling, where you scream at people and dazzle them and, try to trick them. And so most of that stuff's outdated, but there's a few items in there. There's a few nuggets you could take, sure. Thanks for addressing my Hitler concern. I did it only on my real Facebook account with all my photos, family, and friends. You didn't think that through, Tom. Think shit through before you post, guys. You didn't think that through. I'm going to post a bunch of shit about Hitler, how he was right, on my personal Facebook. Even if you really believe that shit, think it through. What's the ramifications? People respect me for raising good questions and that leave people scratching their heads, but it's also easy to twist what I say for bad faith actors. You've chosen a horrible thing to discuss publicly online. I don't know why you do that. You must like drama. I personally don't know how I could build a personal brand, even if I wanted. I already answered your question. My wife is a nurse practitioner and complains about the work/burnout. Yes, very stressful. How can I convince her to start her own NP recruiting niche? You cannot convince your wife to do anything, especially if you're a traditional married and monogamous, as I talked about over my other channel. You can't convince her to do anything. You can't convince other people to do anything. You can't convince people. Sorry. Work on it yourself. Don't let your wife do what she wants. If she wants to live a stressful life, that's her decision. You need to focus on you and just love her the best you can. What are your thoughts on the conspiracy movement? I've been into it lately. And sounds like you have a lot of spare time in your hands. You should be building a business and not into researching conspiracies. What are you doing? And they have been right about a lot of stuff. No, they're wrong about the vast majority of stuff. They're right about a few items. I've read several books on conspiracy stuff. They're right about 15% of their stuff. The 85% they're wrong. Do you believe we will eventually be forced into a digital central currency? Yes, that's not a conspiracy. All the governments in the world have clearly said they want to do that, and then they will. Yes. Yes, you will be forced to that. But you'll still have, Monero, right? How much annual income can you get to in 5 years and then just maintain that income after 5 years? I can't answer questions like that because it depends on numerous variables and factors on your end. How hard are you willing to work? What is the price point of the thing you are selling? What is the margin of the thing you are selling? How hungry is your niche? How wealthy is your niche? I don't know the answers to any of these questions, so I can't answer that question. What about small companies that produce ice cream making machines for small ice cream shops? If that is a real niche, then it is a valid niche. I don't know if that's real or not. I have a feeling those companies make other machines besides ice cream making machines. Are there companies that only make ice cream making machines? That's it? I doubt it. So I don't think that's a real niche. Do you fly business? Usually. Not always, but usually, yes. Do you think Europe will escalate the current situation to World War III? No, Europeans are pussies. And will they force a massive worldwide recession? Yes, massive worldwide recession is coming. Collapse the West. Through this escalation as well as hyperinflation. Hyperinflation is probably coming, not definitely, regardless of what happens with Putin, as I've talked about many times. Will there be a war? No, I do not. I've said this 10,000 times on my blogs. I do not predict a World War III, a conventional World War III. No. The elites do not want a World War III because the elites would lose too much money. So you can make predictions, and I've been very good at this, based on what the elites want and what the elites don't want. Now, what do the elites want? Lots of little wars. They love those. Those are extremely profitable for the elites. Lots of little wars all over the planet. They love that shit. Israel and Iran and, Ukraine, Russia, and Americans in Iraq and the Yemen thing and Americans in Afghanistan. And they love that shit. So you'll see a lot of that shit. Yes. World War, no. Very unlikely. The elites don't want to have their palaces nuked and their people destroyed. And, they don't want that. Thanks, Caleb. I think Cody Sanchez's book does it, but never read it. She addresses it. That's not what her book is about. Thank you, Caleb. I'll stop talking about it. The Hitler stuff? Yes. Yeah, you shouldn't have done that in the first place. If I want to build a personal brand moving forward and then someone digs into my past and brings it up, what should I do? Say, yeah, I had a lot of crazy ideas back then, and move on and be outcome independent about it. By the way, I've said this, but I'll talk more about this when I do the live stream on personal branding. And I'm going to go in a minute here. There are Personal opinions I've never said publicly and never will. Even me, even blunt Caleb that just says whatever he wants and is outcome independent and tells you about details about my personal life over my other channel. Even I have a few opinions I will never state publicly. Why? Because I don't want to take the time and effort out of my schedule to deal with the backlash, the possible backlash of those opinions. So I just keep myself. It's called self-control. It's called emotional control. I talk about it in my books. I don't have many of these opinions. 99.99% of all my opinions, I will tell you, and I have. America's collapsing. Libertarianism is the least bad system you can come up with. Blah, blah, blah. So some of you need to control your mouths a little bit. And none of my, by the way, these aren't super controversial opinions I'm talking about. They are, but I don't want to explain them, and I don't care. So control your mouth. Where are we here on my questions? The wife burnout issue. Can I build it for her? A bad idea. Terrible idea. You'll build it for her and hand it to her, and what if she doesn't do anything with it? You'll be like, God damn it. I've seen husbands try to do that. They build something for their wives, this project, a business project, something else. They hand it to her, okay, you just manage it now. And the wife doesn't go, or they go, oh, great. And they don't do it. The husband's like, God damn it. You're wasting your time. Your wife is going to do whatever the fuck she wants. Go watch my Alpha Male 2.0 channel if you're not familiar with the concept. Let your wife do whatever she wants because she will anyway. And if she does a bunch of things that make her unhappy, guess what? It's called being a girl. How long do you think we have until artificial intelligence takes over entrepreneurs and we will all lose all of our online businesses? We don't know if read Freedom Fortress. So go to, I forget the name of the link. Store.calebjones.com. Go scroll down to books and click Freedom Fortress. Okay. I talk about it in detail. The summary answer to that question is we don't know for a fact if that will ever happen. It may never happen. If it does happen, my guess is about 15 years or less. When will you do a collab with Alpha M? Never. He talks about fashion and stuff. It's not my area, but I like him. I think he's a really good guy. I like him a lot. Have you ever seen any of Brian Johnson's content for anti-aging? Yes, I've done entire videos and articles on his content. Yes, go back and look. Yep. Thoughts on the Don't Die movement. I agree with him 100%. I agree with him 1,000%. Just not as extreme as him. I agree with him 1,000%. I live a great life. Therefore, I want to live as long as I possibly can because I want to keep this party going. I never want to die, ever. I would love to be immortal. You should allow to be immortal, but I don't want to live forever. Then kill yourself whenever you want to. But you should have the choice of when you go, of when you die, instead of nature telling you. That's bullshit. So I agree 1,000% with these concepts, with his overall views, 1,000%. No World War III, but do you ever see nuclear conflict? 2% rule. What about an eventual Pakistan-India conflict? I never said World War III is 2% rule. I'm predicting it won't happen. I could be wrong. That's not a 2% rule thing. Nuclear conflict. You could see tactical nuclear weapons used on a battlefield. You could absolutely see that. Yes. Yes. Strategic nuclear weapons used against a city. No, you're not going to see that used from a government. What you could see is nuclear terrorism. They smuggle in a nuke in a suitcase and terrorists blow up a city. Absolutely, you could see that. Absolutely. In the Western world. No one's going to blow up Dubai. No one's going to blow up Paraguay. But New York, London, Chicago, Los Angeles. I talk about this. Read Freedom Fortress. Yes. Yes, yes. An eventual Pakistan-India conflict. Yes, but I think it'll be limited because, again, the elites do not want a big conflict. The elites don't want that. But a limited conflict, skirmishes and shit, yes, yes, you will see that. When I will make the cold calls to know the problems of a niche. It's not a cold call. These are market research calls. Cold calls are sales calls. You're not doing that. Which is the best way to manage my emotions if people react bad, refuse to answer, hang up the phone? Plan in advance. They're going to do that. The vast majority of people, they're not going to be, if you call companies, they're very polite. Most people are very polite. They are going to blow you off and they are going to hang up the phone. And yes, you plan on in advance. The vast majority of people are going to do that. What does that have to do with you? Is that because of you? Is that a judgment call based on you? No. They're not hanging up on you because of you. It has nothing to do with you. So you separate it from it being about you. Oh, they don't like me. No, it has nothing to do with you. They don't even know you. That's you. All right. One or two questions. I got to go. I worry that when I'm older, governments will simply tax every assets that we accumulate today. No, 5 flags, dude. If you live in Paraguay, it's not going to happen. Even if we live in a tax-free country. Okay, you're wrong if you do 5 flags. If you stay in the collapsing West, yes, that is exactly what's going to occur. Yes. Yes. If the West lasts that long. So yes, 5 flags, 5 flags, 5 flags. Get out of the collapsing West. I believe in the future, there won't be any private property. In the West, in areas of the West, yes. They want to make sure that you rent everything. Correct. That's what the elites want. The elites don't want you owning a goddamn thing. They've said it. They want you renting everything. That is correct in the West. And at some point, that will probably happen in the West. Is it going to happen in Dubai? No. Is it going to happen in Paraguay? Definitely not. So I don't need to worry about this. I don't worry about any of these things you worry about because I don't live in the West. How do you prepare for the scenario? 5 flags. Thanks for helping Caleb with my questions. I looked into history, a lot of money. Tom, get off this topic. You're addicted to this psycho topic. Yeah, you're still asking all these crazy topics. Get off this topic, Tom. All right, 90daybizbuilder.com. If you have an interest, schedule your call. You don't have to sign up if you don't want to, but at least you can schedule a call and ask us, plan it out, see if it's a fit for you. If not, I understand. This is the last day. Midnight EST tonight. 90daybizbuilder.com. I will see you guys, for those of you interested in the Alpha Male 2.0 content on Wednesday. Have fun.